All right, guys, the quarterfinals for the age group divisions, including masters athletes like myself, is just about 2 weeks away. And I thought I'd put together a video. Having gone through the age group qualifier for a number of years now, the quarterfinals are one half of our qualifier towards the CrossFit Games, and then we have the semifinals after that. There's gonna be some things that if you've never done an online qualifier before, or a CrossFit Games type qualifier, there's some things that we need to pay attention to, and I want to share those with you today in this video. Today, I'm going to talk about training and how I'm training over the next couple of weeks getting ready for the qualifier. I'm going to talk about nutrition and recovery and what I'm sort of focusing on there. I'm also going to talk about the equipment list and maybe some thoughts on how things will be different for the masters athletes in our quarterfinal versus the elite athletes in their quarterfinal, which I tested 2 weeks ago. It was also a lot of fun. The video for that, I have a video for that. If you haven't watched that, you should take a look at that. It was super fun. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about, some of the small things you really need to pay attention to when you're doing a qualifier, like showing all of the weights, how many cameras to use, where to put a clock, and even now with specific deadlines for individual workouts, you actually have to show the current date with like an iPad or another iPhone on your video. We're going to talk about all that today. Now guys, this is part one of 2 videos I'm creating. Part 1 is for the world. This is for you guys. This will help you crush your quarterfinals. Just listen through this. I've got some great tips in here for you. But if you really want to get into the weeds, you're going to have to jump into my performance coaching community. This isn't a huge ask, guys. This is not a crazy thing. This isn't thousands of dollars. Literally $15 or $25 a month, depending on like which level you want to be at, to access my second video where I'm going to go into the weeds and really focus on best pro tips for approaching your quarterfinals. Like, here's the actual tangible things you need. Here's the cameras you need, the cameras that I use. Here's what I do to set up those cameras to make sure that I've got enough battery, enough space, always having a backup plan and multiple backup plans. There's nothing worse than like having a camera stop and you're in the middle of a workout and there's no time to retest it. You have to have that. What your judge should do and how you should communicate with your judge, how you should recover between events, because you're gonna have to do more than one event a day. And I've got some pro tips for you on how to do that. And when quarterfinals come out, my performance coaching community, my guys and gals that are in there, they're gonna get pro tips from me on like how to chalk up a barbell or a pull-up bar so that you can hang on forever, how to climb a rope or how to get down a rope faster, because that matters, or how to get down a rope so as to not to burn out your arms and your shoulders, how to break up handstand push-ups so you don't burn up your shoulders. Lots of tips and tricks that I've learned along the way that I think make a big difference, especially in a virtual qualifier. So be sure to sign up. There's a link below. It's really simple. You can cancel anytime if you don't like it. It's no big deal. If you don't like it in the first month, I'll just give you your money back. Whatever. Anyway, this is video 1. Let's jump in. All right, based on the quarterfinals that the individual athletes had, my training has been building through the Open. So I train at full capacity through the CrossFit Open. And as we go through that, now volume is increasing because I need to be at my best for semifinals. I'm pretty sure I'll make it to semifinals, which is at the end of May. And so the trajectory is to be at my fittest level there, and then my fittest level again at the CrossFit Games. So the quarterfinals is a step along the way, but based on the workouts that we've had from the individuals, we can take some guesses as to some movements that in the training with increased volume that I'm doing. I'm literally following Mayhem Athlete. Whatever it says, I just do that. And I have found that the volume has picked up lately. We're doing some solid, challenging stuff. I'm sure you're doing solid stuff. And my recommendation, by the way, on programming is it doesn't necessarily matter what program you follow. I obviously like Mayhem. I've done really well with Mayhem. I won Masters. I won the Games in 2021. I won Wadapalooza and then Masters, the Legends comp again. So whatever, I've done really well with Mayhem. Before that, I was with CompTrain, and some of the best competitors that I compete with are on Misfit or follow other programming, Invictus, Masters, CompTrain, whatever. The key to training is to follow something, and something that you trust, and follow it consistently. So that's my little programming in parentheses right there. But I have been making some slight changes and some additions based on what we saw in quarterfinals. For example, quarterfinals for elites had lots of pistol squats. We had pistol squats last year. The elites had pistol squats last year. So I predict in our quarterfinals, we're going to sing single-legged pistol squats. 2 things on pistol squats. I'm not very good at them. So I need to practice that. And for whatever reasons, just mobility issues, my central nervous system really wants to protect my adductors when I'm trying to do single leg squats. So I struggle with them. So I did all of the 90 pistol squats in the individual qualifier as part of that practice round. Then since then, I've been doing pistol squats to a box. I've been doing pistol squats to 3 plates, then pistol squats to 2 plates, literally working on controlling the descent, carefully sitting and standing up on that single leg. So whenever Mayhem has had programmed sled pushes and sled pulls, the weather's not really great right now for outdoor sled pushing and pulling, and I don't really have a spot in the gym to do that. So I have subbed out or subbed in pistols anytime I have a sled push pull kind of movement. So a week ago Monday, there was some dumbbell bench press and some sled pushes and sled pulls. So I did double bench and pistol squat practice. And yesterday was also some biker sled push, sled pull. I did the same thing with pistols, just practicing that and mixing that in without it being tremendous amounts of additional volume. I don't want to kill myself. A sled push, a sled pull is very leg-centric kind of work, and I will do those when the weather's nice, but for now, I can sub in pistols and practice those. Another thing I've been practicing is shuttle sprints. When we're doing like a high volume of shuttle sprints, it's not sprinting anymore. I think that's the last thing it is. It's shuttle shuffles is really what it is for me. Because they're just hard. It takes practice and coordination, actually. So last week I had a couple of workouts that had some running built into it. One day the weather was really bad. There was no way I was going to be able to do these sprints that were programmed by Chris Hinshaw via Mayhem Programming. So I subbed in some shuttle sprint work. So, I did some, down and back 8 times, 1-to-1 work rest a few times, 3 sets of that with some rest in between. Yesterday, there was some shuttle sprints actually built into Mayhem's programming. So I've done some of that as well. So on some of these things that I don't have a lot of practice with, I'm practicing them a little bit more. I have all the strength in the world to do pistols. I can run forever, but shuttle runs, it takes a rhythm and a cadence to be efficient at those. Same thing with pistols. Like I gotta get good at pistols because they're gonna be probably in the qualifier. If not quarterfinals, definitely semifinals. We're also, since I'm on the subject, I'm just going to talk about the equipment list because that has affected my training, or at least affected the focus when I'm training. Yesterday, Mayhem programmed a bunch of rope climbs, and I don't love doing rope climbs. In fact, the open prep version of Mayhem had Amanda, ring muscle ups and snatches, and I love that workout. The games version had rope climbs and snatches, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to. I love the ring muscle up version. But if it's going to be something that I want to practice more with regards to what I'm probably going to see in quarterfinals, because a rope is on the equipment list for quarterfinals, I'm going to do these snatches with rope climbs, just to practice rope climbs, especially in my gym. It's a nylon rope. I don't love it, but I want to be efficient getting up and down that rope a lot, and I want to just be really, really good at that. I'm already good at ring muscle ups, so this was one where rings are in the equipment list for quarterfinals as well, so we'll be doing some ring work as well. But ring muscle ups, I can do those more, and those show up more in programming. So when I was doing rope climbs in my mind, I'm imagining the pacing and the strategy that I would do if I was doing a quarterfinal workout. We also have 70-pound dumbbells. What are we going to use a 70-pound dumbbell for? Well, we could use it for overhead walking lunges or front rack lunges. We could hold in the goblet position, or we could hold it at our side for walking lunges and do a workout that was similar to the elite or the individual quarterfinals, which had lots of walking lunges with 2 dumbbells and lots of handstand push-ups. Maybe our variation has one 70-pound dumbbell, which is kind of a fun variant, doing something really similar to that. So I have been practicing walking lunges in the front rack position, holding a dumbbell or 2 dumbbells, but doing a lot of double dumbbell work there too, and overhead walking lunges with double dumbbells, because that's just harder. Single dumbbell overhead walking lunges are really not a big deal. Double is harder, so I've been practicing those in my workouts. In fact, last Saturday, Mayhem had a workout that had kettlebell front rack walking lunges. I went ahead and went through that workout. It was 8 rounds. I went through variants of those rounds with dumbbells at my side, dumbbells on my shoulders, dumbbells overhead, so I could just practice that and have my body become more familiar with that movement. That's all I'm trying to do, is get my body more familiar with uncommon movements, or movements that I don't do in training that often. Today, however, I did do lots of 70-pound dumbbell snatches, and they're just hard. They're just beefy, those 70-pound dumbbells, right? So there's some things there. There is a rower. There's a squat rack as well for our qualifier. There is no bench. So here's a difference between the elite or the individual and our master's qualifier. Theirs had a squat rack and a bench. Ours only has a squat rack. What does that mean for us? Obviously, we're not doing bench because we don't have a bench. Will we do, a 1-rep max clean and an overhead squat? Will we do, maybe a 3-rep max overhead squat? Will we do something that's totally unique and different because we only have that squat rack? I didn't notice when I did the quarterfinals that we didn't have a bench. So I was really excited. I'm like, I'm going to crush this bench. We don't have a bench. Bummer. Okay. Otherwise, so the other workouts in the qualifier that could be similar. Obviously, we have a rower. We have a box because it was a box in the open, and we have a barbell. So we could see the rowing burpee box jump over snatch workout, probably at a slightly lighter weight for us. We could see that one because we have all of that equipment. The ring muscle up, pistol, GHD sit-up workout, we could see a version of that, but we don't have a GHD on our equipment list, which is a bummer. I really liked that workout. So maybe we'll have some sort of a variant. I predict that we'll have similar workouts to the individual quarterfinals because that just creates consistency. I feel like that would be how I would want to run that, even though it gives us a clue as to what is coming, a few weeks earlier. We don't know exactly what's coming, but it gives us some ideas, and that's kind of nice. It also creates a nice consistency throughout the whole competition, that individuals and masters, that we're all incredible athletes that get to do this, or that we all have the opportunity, and all of us, to get to try out these workouts, elite teams even, whatever they're doing. I think there's going to be variance, but I think we're going to have a lot of similarities just at, lighter loads, something that can help narrow the field from the anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 people in each individual age group down to 30, where we'll be for the semifinals. So that's training and actually the equipment list and some predictions there. Now I want to jump into nutrition and what I'm focusing on right now. And honestly, what I'm focusing on the nutrition side is exactly what I focus on throughout the year. I actually don't take a break from nutrition during the off season. I don't take a break and get thick or fat. It's just not my nature to do that. I am really quick to develop bad habits. So I don't want to develop bad habits that I would have to quit. So what I do is I just maintain consistency. I eat between 3,200, 3,400 calories a day. It's right around that range. I track my calories, and I weigh and measure my food consistently, meaning when I started doing my nutrition, I actually tracked it to the T for a few months so that I would know exactly what a plate should look like. I should know exactly what eating enough food in a day should feel like in my body and what that would look like, appropriate amount of food in a day looks like with protein, fats, and carbs. Now, I build all of that out without weighing and measuring everything, but I do audit myself, and I audit by weighing and measuring everything for 2 to 3 days, once about every 2 months, sometimes once a month, sometimes every 2 months, just to make sure I'm on track and I'm not having too much fats on a regular basis. I just build, 2 days worth of normal meals, and let's see what that looks like when I actually track it. And during this time of the year where training and volume is increasing, I'm just as consistent now as I was, in September and October and November. It's just consistency. And during the week of quarterfinals, I'm just going to continue with the consistency that I always do. I may pay a little closer attention to make sure that I'm getting everything that I need, but if there's no big deviations, I'm just going to do what I do that is pretty consistent. For you, just make sure you're getting enough calories. That's really what we're looking for when we're doing a decent amount of volume, when we're training for something big like quarterfinals, semifinals for the CrossFit Games. Most of the clients that I work with on the nutrition side of things, masters athletes, are just not eating enough. And then once we start eating enough, fueling our bodies appropriately, man, we see PRs on lifting, we see PRs in gymnastics, we see significant results when we just actually eat enough food. The training volume didn't change. We just fueled our body better, which allows our body to recover better, which allows our body to build a stronger foundation for what we're doing in our training. And the last thing I wanted to share with you guys is that when you're doing your quarterfinal workouts, it's a big weekend. There's a lot of things going on. You're nervous about the workouts. You're trying to get warm. You sort of have reserves time in the gym. There's a lot to navigate, but there's a couple things you really want to pay attention to. One, read the actual workout on the workout sheet. Don't just look at it online and, it's 25 shuttle sprints. Oh, okay. Last 2 weeks ago, I thought a shuttle sprint was a cross. A shuttle sprint is not a cross. A shuttle sprint is a cross and back. And there were hundreds of athletes practicing or even in the individual quarterfinal that made that mistake. But you have to print out, or just get it on an iPad. You don't have your iPad out, have the actual scorecard and all of the pages that go along with that, and read through that to know exactly what you're supposed to do in this workout. Set the floor up exactly how it's supposed to be set up. Then when you are actually recording this, you've got your camera going and everything, you actually have to show with the tape measure all of the specific measurements for the setup that you have to verify that. You have to show every plate, every barbell, the end of the barbell that shows what brand and what the weight of the barbell is, every weight. You can't mess any of that stuff up. You have to show a device that says today's date and time so that it's clear that you didn't cheat and you didn't do this workout way before or after the time ending. Like that's legit. That is baked into the metadata on a video, but CrossFit isn't doing that. They just want to see that on there. You need to make sure you have a clock. Like lots of CrossFit gyms have the clock up on the back wall. Well, cameras aren't always facing in that direction. So if you don't have a clock, just order one from Amazon that you can have on the floor or in the screen. You can use WOD timer, I think. Double check that. I always like to have that physical clock so I can see what's going on. And I always have that in the screen with me. Be meticulous about that stuff. Meticulous about what the actual workout is, what's required, what the standards are. Like you have to stand up on pistols because so many guys got dinged on pistols in the individual quarterfinal. Make sure that clock is in there. Make sure you show all your weights and video all that stuff beforehand. Make sure you say your name, what the workout is. These are all really important things. All right, guys, those are my tips and tricks for quarterfinals for all of you. If you'd like to get in the weeds and really get into some of the details and the pro tips that I've got for you, be sure to jump into my performance coaching group. Again, that link is below. Please subscribe to this channel so that we can help as many masters athletes as possible to achieve ridiculous goals. Thanks for watching. Click that like and subscribe button. See you next time.